Now, just a little warning before we begin. Major spoilers ahead for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want anything from this film ruined, it's a really good time to click away. Alright, so let's jump right in. What did you think?
It was definitely darker in some areas than I'm used to.
A little less comedic, which I actually appreciated.
I did too. Overall, I had a great time at the theater with a Marvel movie.
I think this is excluding No Way Home, which was just kind of a weird special film considering all the nostalgia and all that. I think this was the best Marvel film I've seen in a while.
I can agree with that. It kept central to its story. There was a lot of heart. There were some well-timed comedic things, of course.
Yeah.
But the story was clear, concise, and didn't run around doing a bunch of stupid things. Even though the group is kind of a ragtag, little more comedic group, they didn't do a bunch of stupid things. They all stayed with their character and what they would do.
Yeah, they didn't lean, like I said, they didn't lean so much into the humor, which I really liked. I mean, it was still funny. It still had its moments. It was still, over the top at certain points, if you will. But it was actually a pretty serious story.
One of the things that I did not like about the movie, and I know this is just a staple with the Guardians movies, the really loud music. Like when they have to go into action, maybe. They have to well, everyone look, he pulled out the Zune, he's turning on some music and cranking it to 11. Let's roll.
The Zune that almost got him killed, yeah.
It's a little much sometimes. I get it. That is a big part of the Guardians movies.
Yes.
I just felt like it was a little too pronounced in this one.
I don't disagree. Every now and then I'm like, okay, we don't need a musical number every time we have any kind of action piece going on here.
Well, and we get it. We understand Peter Quill has a Zune and he's from a different time, haha,
yes,
because he hasn't been back to Earth,
kind of
whatever.
Thing. Yeah.
We get it. I kind of like that they gave you more of a story between him and Gamora. They really round out the fact that, yes, this is a Gamora, but it isn't that Gamora, and there's no history between them.
But it is that Gamora.
It is and it isn't, because when you pull somebody out of an earlier point in their life and push them into the present, let's say, it's not the same person. It's a person, yes, it's the same person, but they don't know you and they don't have the memories of knowing you, so you can't really... and they covered that actually really well, that you can't expect them to be somebody that they haven't grown into yet.
No, I agree.
Those circumstances that made them who they are that you knew, they aren't there.
Yeah, I'm simply saying it's not like alternate universe Gamora. They kind of explain that she comes back with the snap and all that after Endgame. So it is Gamora.
It is Gamora.
But it isn't Gamora.
But it isn't Gamora.
Yeah. It's not Peter's Gamora.
Right, because they could actually never really bring her back.
No. She doesn't have the memories. I mean, that's what we are, really. I mean, we are the memories and the experiences that we had all kind of combined into a, whatever you want to call it, a shell, a human body.
I like
luminous beings we are. Not this crude matter.
I like once again that they showed us how tight-knit of a group this is, how they know each other so well, how they work together. It's just really nice to see a group that's like they're not starting from scratch every time going, all right, we're doing a Guardians movie, we have to give them all this internal group trouble.
Yes, I like
that. They didn't do that.
Thankfully.
The group was still solid.
Yeah, I feel like so many stories nowadays just resort to like, oh, there's going to be some infighting. I mean, and obviously Gamora is kind of a, you could kind of say that is, but we just explained how her memories are not the same. She's not the same person, but everybody else on the team, they get along. They know their role. They're fine with it. They love each other.
Even if they have an argument, it's petty and it lasts for a few minutes and they move on.
Yeah, it's more like, siblings, fighting or something more along those lines. It's not like earth-shattering, we hate each other and want to kill each other suddenly. Or but I'm serious. So many stories seem to just rely on that lately. That infighting has to be there all the time.
As for the High Evolutionary as the villain, it worked. It worked very well.
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty dang good. Mm-hmm. It's not.
He was a villain that you hated. You hated.
Yeah.
And it was the right way,
It's pretty rare when we get a good Marvel villain.
Out to create the perfect society, and every time he doesn't create what exactly he wants, he kills them all. He has no regard for life.
No.
Aside from making the best he could possibly make.
And he's just obsessed with the fact that Rocket actually could think.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't just like the others. He wasn't a robot who could only do things that had already been done. He had the cognitive ability to kind of imagine and make something that hadn't been seen.
I think Rocket makes him feel like a god because he had created true life, like life that could flourish beyond the limitations. Not that he was creating, stupid, life, but that could, excel beyond the limitations of what he created. I think that's why he kind of went insane over Rocket. Because he had to know the secret of what I did right.
What did I do? What was that magic formula?
Yeah.
I will say this, and this is a credit to like the CGI department and everything, but I hated it. I hated how the creatures looked, how the animals looked.
You were supposed to, though.
I know I was supposed to. It was torture to look at them. And it was. Yeah. It was incredibly uncomfortable to see Lila and Teefs and Floor.
I would have called him Wheels.
You didn't get to name him. He named himself.
I know. That was beautiful. No, it's amazing how you know what's funny?
It hurt to look at them.
If you kind of put like different music over those and just kind of showed them, you can make them like terrifying creatures that would haunt your dreams.
They were terrifying creatures that could haunt your dreams.
They were the opposite.
You were so sympathetic to their cause. Especially, for some reason, the one that hit me the hardest was Floor.
The bunny?
The bunny.
I knew
they
it would.
Amputated the little leggies, and they gave him crab legs, and they put the thing over the mouth, and I was like, oh my god, the poor bunny.
Yeah, it was... I mean, it was supposed to make you a little uncomfortable, right? That's what it was.
Well, and even the other creatures he made, his war pig and his hellspawn army, they were horribly uncomfortable to look at, and I understand that was their intention, but I'm just saying, if you go in there with bringing your kids, maybe that's something to watch out for, because they could be considered disturbing. Nightmare fuel, and they are very disturbing to look at, and honestly, I was like tearing up in the theater looking at these poor creatures.
Yeah.
Because... It's hard. It's 100% like animal cruelty, what he did.
Yeah.
And looking at that it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrific, which is what they were going for.
Well, yeah, I think through all that made Rocket a extremely good character suddenly.
Right, because we had never really seen what he went through.
Yeah.
And actually seeing everything he's overcome and what made him who he is, the personality he has, where it all comes from, it was hard.
It was Rocket's story, as the movie kind of said.
Yeah, and that death scene... when Lila's like, yeah, you can fly with us, but not yet. I was like, no! And I went into this movie 100% thinking someone was going to die, because everyone's like, who's dying in this movie? Someone's dying, and then nobody died.
Nobody died. Well, I mean, none
Rocket
of the main team
almost died.
Everybody almost died. Like, Peter did die, but then...
Sort of, but he got saved by Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Who was an interesting little side character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he grew up in the movie, too.
He did.
He went from... I like that they brought them in, because that was a storyline that I kind of thought, I'm like, I guess they just dropped that.
Yeah, from Guardians 2.
But what's interesting is that High Evolutionary made their society but didn't destroy it afterwards. He just decided he wanted to leave them and let them worship him as a god and do his bidding.
Yeah, why not?
Well, he didn't like all his animal people.
Well, did you see them? We were talking about that.
So, the High Evolutionary left the Sovereign Society because they played well with others. They just weren't perfect.
They were good to be useful. They were useful.
They were useful, and they didn't sell meth to each other on the street corner.
Oh, yeah.
They hadn't developed that, I guess. But because they were well-behaved, they get to survive, I suppose.
In a way, Peter got them all killed, because he's the one who's, like, pointing out, you didn't really make it.
Oh, no, he knew ahead of time, because he right away was like, yeah, but that's why I'm getting rid of them.
Oh, I suppose you're right.
He just pointed out what he saw.
I just wanted to blame Peter for something.
No, you don't get to blame Peter for that. The bombs were already in place. He already had his next flock, I guess you could call them, his next group, ready to inhabit a new place. He just needed that spark that Rocket had.
Yeah, that's what he was looking for. Because he had, like I said, godlike in creating him.
It's so weird to get to talk about a Marvel movie being good and having a nice time at the theater and not coming out of there going, did I pay money for that?
Yeah, we kind of debated whether or not we were even going to go see this today, because it's technically Thursday when we're recording this. I don't know when this will go up.
Probably tomorrow.
But it was the same day Visions came out, so we were trying to watch Visions. We were doing videos for that. Just trying to enjoy it, too, not just cram things in. So we're like, do we really even want to go bother seeing a Marvel movie that's kind of going to disappoint?
No, I put my foot down, though, because I was like, no, if somebody dies and I see it on the internet first, I'm going to be really upset. I didn't want the spoilers for this one.
Yeah, but no, pleasantly surprised. It's been a while since I feel like I really, other than No Way Home, which was kind of a rare exception, it's been a while since I really was pleasantly surprised by a Marvel film.
I'm hoping that this is somehow a trigger to an upswing.
Well, somehow Peter Quill will return.
Yes, he will.
Post-credit scene told us so.
Yeah. And it's weird because if you didn't see the holiday special where you find out that Mantis is Peter's sister.
Yeah.
At least they mentioned it.
They did mention it, but it wasn't really important at all.
No.
If they wouldn't have mentioned it, you wouldn't have known, and it wouldn't have affected the story that you didn't know.
But I like that, yes, they're all going their separate ways, and they're going to grow as individuals, but Star-Lord coming back will maybe herald the return of the Guardians?
I don't know.
They might just be going through a growing period, and maybe dependent on contracts and stuff, maybe one of them's like, maybe Peter Quill's contract, he's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be back.
Well, we know Batista said he was done, I'm pretty sure.
Well, then he could be done. Yeah. But they've left an open door enough to go, well, maybe down the line, if you want to come back too, you can.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the door is always open for pretty much any of them. Even when they die off, there's other universes. I mean, you can always, no one's ever really gone, you might say.
This isn't Star Wars.
Well, no, it isn't.
No. Sometimes people really are gone in this.
Not Gamora. She kind of
No, not Gamora. T'Challa.
Well, that's a whole...
Yeah, he is
That's
gone.
a whole different thing, though.
Right, but,
That's a true tragedy. That's a real-life tragedy right there.
I'm sure that other Marvel characters are not coming back, though. I mean...
Yeah, well, depends on how deep your pocketbook is.
Goodness. You're going too far there, Mr. Frodo, or whatever you're trying to go with.
I was going for Dex, but I forgot the quote, so... How big your pocketbook is.
Whatever.
I was going to say how deep your pockets are, and then it didn't work.
No, it didn't.
But everybody knows.
But this, summing it up, was a good, fun Marvel movie, but a bit dark and a little disturbing at times. Those poor animals. I can't get them out of my brain. They're just rattling around in there, and I feel so sad. Especially for Floor.
You only have a thing for it because we have little rabbits running around our home porch.
Can you imagine?
I should post the video of Kylo glaring one down, trying to scratch his way through the window because we have Kylo is our cat, for those who don't know.
It was his
and
birthday
a cat,
on May the 4th.
And there was a bunny, just a little bunny sitting 2 feet in front of the window, and he's just trying to scratch his way through the window to get to it.
Yeah, he's never going to get to that bunny.
No. Anyway.
Hammer scale. You're up. You're always up first. You know that. Hammer scale.
I'm going to go
1 through 10.
Yeah, I give my halves, though. I know you love the halves.
I hate the halves. You can't have half a hammer.
You can have half a hammer.
No, you have a rock or a stick.
Exactly. So I'm going to go 8.5 hammers.
So 8 hammers and a stick?
8 hammers and a stick or a head. Your choice.
8.5. That's a nice high number. I'm actually going to give it... I'll give it a half, too, because of you.
Oh, because of me?
No, I'm just going to give it a 7.
Because of Obi-Wan.
I'm giving it a 7.
A 7? I thought you said you liked the movie.
I did like the movie, but the music was too loud and distracting at times. It took over the show. And the animals, despite being extremely heart-wrenching in the right way, were just a bit disturbing without some sort of a warning for people who might be taking their kids.
I don't think you need a warning.
I think you're might.
You're supposed to be shocked. You're supposed to
You
understand
are supposed to
what
be
Rocket
shocked,
went through.
but that's really hard for a younger viewer to look.
Well,
it was hard for me to watch.
I hate to say it, but you're not a younger viewer.
Right, but I'm thinking about people who have younger viewers.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I feel that
I can still give it a 7.
I thought you said you were going to give it a half.
I took it back because I don't like to do halves like you, weirdo.
Give it a 7.5. Come on.
Fine.
All right, I feel better now, even though
I'll give it a 7 and I'll hit you with the rock.
It's better than taking that stick and shoving it somewhere.
Oh, goodness.
But anyway, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you thought of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. How many hammers would you give it? Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Marvel. And until next time, thanks for watching.